In less than 24 hours, parliamentarians will gather at Gordon House to participate in the ceremonial opening. If you're still wondering about the significance of this event, we've got you covered. My name is Carrie-Ann Smith, and of course, you're tuned into Jamaica Magazine. In addition to that information, we put home ownership in the spotlight and focus on the effort to make it easier to do business in Jamaica. Pay attention as the magazine begins right now.
We want a productive Jamaica. We are not productive Jamaicans. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity is the way to go for all us Jamaicans. Small business, big business, old and young, we are tell every woman and man. We want growth and prosperity for a better nation with a building plan. So we can build our product and sell our product and put more money in our hand. Our economy can rise to a level and build a better nation. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity.
Productivity, Pathway to Prosperity. A message brought to you by the Jamaica Productivity Center, a department of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
Good day, I'm Andrea Chisholm and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, April 2. In less than 24 hours, government will outline to the country how much it intends to spend on different sectors of society like health and education. Finance Minister Dr. Peter Phillips will table the national budget called the Estimates of Expenditure this Thursday. That takes place hours after Governor General Sir Patrick Allen outlines government's plans for the financial year during the throne speech. The Standing Finance Committee of Parliament, which comprises all members of the House of Representatives, will then consider the estimates from April 8 to 10. The Finance Minister will later open the budget debate on April 17. Dr. Phillips will be followed by Opposition Spokesman on Finance Audley Shaw on April 22 and Government and Opposition members on April 23. Opposition Leader Andrew Holness will make his contribution on April 24, Prime Minister Portia Simpson-Miller on April 29, and the Finance Minister will close the debate on April 30. Sabina Park will soon be able to host night matches as infrastructure work for the much-anticipated floodlights is set to begin this weekend. $770,000 was released on Monday as a first installment for the Sabina Park lighting project following the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding between the governments of Jamaica and India. The Indian government is providing a $2.1 million grant, while the Tourism Enhancement Fund is contributing 65 million Jamaican dollars to the project. Prime Minister Portia Simpson-Miller says the project coincides with a national development plan for the upgrading of sporting infrastructure.
This initiative to furnish Sabina Park with state-of-the-art lighting is not just a cricket initiative. With lights, Sabina Park, we can host major sporting events which are beyond our reach at this time.
India's High Commissioner to Jamaica says the assistance is a reflection of the mutual trust and understanding between the two countries.
I look forward to working with Jamaican authorities and business establishments to help build bridges.
The Sabina Park lighting project is being undertaken by the Fostrich Group of companies and managed by the Urban Development Corporation. Work is expected to be completed within 3 months. In other sport news, Prime Minister Portia Simpson-Miller says government is committed to ensuring that the Trelawney Multipurpose Stadium is put to good use. She was speaking at the ISA Boys and Girls Championships on Saturday. Mrs. Simpson-Miller said the government was exploring the hosting of similar games at the Trelawney Stadium.
We're just waiting to be able to get some money to be able to move on the Trelawney Stadium, because I feel that that should be developed as a stadium that could serve Western Jamaica.
Meanwhile, government is exploring the possibility of upgrading the G.C. Foster College in St. Catherine to a sport university. Education Minister Reverend Ronald Thwaites, who made the announcement, said the college could become a foreign exchange earner by attracting individuals from overseas.
With a concentration on expertise in all variety of sporting activities, competitive, recreational, that it becomes a center for physical and emotional wellness and for the promotion of wholesome lifestyles.
Minister Thwaites was speaking at a ceremony last Thursday to mark the recommissioning of the gymnasium at GC Foster College. Repairs were done to the roof and other infrastructure at a cost of $14 million. And finally, the Jamaica Urban Transit Company JUTC is to roll out a public education program on the new public transportation rules for the Kingston Metropolitan Region KMTR. As of April 1, the JUTC has retaken the routes in the KMTR and contracted private operators to support their seat capacity in a revamped sub-franchise system. 5,189 seats are contracted to sub-franchise operators, and 74 private operator buses have so far been approved by the Island Traffic Authority. The private buses and taxis have been color-coded to reflect the same image as the JUTC buses, and the operators are mandated to issue tickets, charge the correct fares, and operate according to their routes. At a press briefing Tuesday, it was pointed out that passengers could be charged up to $100,000 or spend 6 months in jail for traveling in unregulated vehicles in the KMTR.
But that is not going to be enforced on the passenger that quick. We are going to make sure that we educate the passenger or the commuters as to what can happen if you travel on the bus or if you travel in a vehicle other than a PPV.
And that's it for GIS News today. I'm Andrea Chisholm. Thank you for watching.
Smoking, it's bad for your health. There's nothing cool about this habit. Tobacco smoking is a silent killer that will snare you in a horrific cycle of addiction that robs you of your money and your health. And it's not just you who suffers. Those around you who inhale the smoke are also at risk, your friends and loved ones. So stop if you've started, or resist before you begin the habit. Stay healthy.
Government continues on its mission to make home ownership a reality for many low-income earners, whether it's by giving titles to persons who have lived on land for many years or making housing more affordable. Those in charge have remained committed to that goal.
This is an opportunity for me and my family to improve our life.
That's Janika Thompson. She is one of the latest beneficiaries of government's strategic program to broaden opportunities for housing solutions and ownership.
Security of tenure and security of property rights are fundamental if we are to fight poverty and to build a great nation.
In December 2013, 48 residents of the Majestic Gardens community were given the keys to improve their social condition. They represented the first group of beneficiaries under the revamped inner city housing program.
Let Majestic Gardens be a model of inner city development. You can do it, and I'm expecting you to do it, and I know you can. Do it for your children. Do it for yourself.
I will no longer be afraid or embarrassed to invite a friend to visit because I'm terrified they might ask, "Can I use your restroom?" Or simply do not want them to know where I live. If and when asked for proof of address, I will not be able to furnish several utility bills.
On March 26 of this year, Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller was back in Majestic Gardens, announcing that another group of residents will soon be in Shanika's position. Under the National Housing Trust project, another 32 strata units are being built in the community. 78 persons from the Gravel Heights community in St. Catherine, meanwhile, now have the tools to secure home ownership. In December, they were presented with land titles under a Housing Agency of Jamaica program.
The access to ownership of land is what is not only going to make you and your families better, but will improve the well-being of the economy of the country.
Sugar workers are among those benefiting from government's efforts to broaden home ownership as a tool for effective social inclusion. On February 6 of this year, Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller handed over 39 housing units to sugar workers and their families in Spicy Hill, Trelawney. It's part of a larger development where $2.4 billion is being spent on social programs in sugar-dependent communities over the next 3 years. Beneficiaries in this instance got the new homes free of cost, having only to pay for their titles.
The government has made provisions to resettle some 876 residents of Sugar Estate Barracks Island-wide. 400 housing solutions will be constructed in 7 relocation sites in 4 sugar parishes.
In February of this year, another 40 residents from Donaldson in eastern St. Thomas became proud owners of land titles. They are among 436 to get serviced lots developed by the Housing Agency of Jamaica at a cost of $26 million. More recently, 80 persons from the Arnett Gardens community can proudly say they are no longer informal settlers.
You'll be people with your house with legal documentation that you are owners.
The same is true for 70 Seaview Gardens residents who got their land titles on February 19. This ends years of waiting to get titles for the units which were established under the Sites and Services program of the 1970s.
It affords you a status in your community and in the society, and it also is a basis for you to be able to access financing to improve upon the land that is now legally yours.
In the just concluded fiscal year, government also began the construction of housing for families under the Program of Advancement through Health and Education PATH. Residents of Hanover, St. Catherine, St. Thomas, Clarendon, St. James, Kingston and St. Andrew have already benefited from the $30 million partnership with Food for the Poor.
The housing solutions being provided to families on PATH is a true manifestation of our mandate of adopting a developmental approach in the provision of social assistance benefits, and in so doing, assist in reducing the dependence on the state.
The government of Jamaica, allowing access to basic social amenities, empowering people and facilitating national development in fiscal year 2013-2014.
A healthy and educated people living in a clean, natural environment, reducing crime, improving the justice system and governance, building a prosperous economy. It's not just a vision, it's reality. Learn about the plan. Join the vision.
My country, Jamaica, has a rich heritage and is very unique. If we all pull together, we can make it the place of choice to live, work, raise family, and to do business.
For more information on Vision 2030, call the Planning Institute of Jamaica or visit vision2030.gov.jm, your parish library, school library, or the Jamaica Information Service. In the previous feature, we showed you tangible examples of effective social inclusion, one of the goals government set itself at the start of the previous financial year. Apart from the identification of priority items, the beginning of each parliamentary year is usually accompanied by much fanfare, evidenced by the ceremonial opening. That's happening tomorrow. Here's Andrea Chisholm with the behind-the-scenes details on the annual event.
Every year, members of both houses of parliament, MPs and senators, come together in this chamber. They sit jointly in a ceremony that marks the beginning of a new parliamentary year. The highlight of this critical event is the Governor-General's throne speech. This is among several spectacular activities that are all part of the grandeur that is the ceremonial opening of Parliament. With its seed firmly grounded in the United Kingdom, new growth sprouted here in Jamaica, allowing us to harvest the traditions of the British parliamentary system. The roots were anchored in 1962 when Princess Margaret delivered the throne speech to a newly independent Jamaica, and since then, the traditions of the ceremonial opening of Parliament have mushroomed into an annual event. The Jamaica Defence Force JDF plays a vital role. It furnishes the Guard of Honor, which consists of over 100 military personnel.
The Guard of Honor is formed to receive His Excellency to come to Parliament to give the throne speech.
Smartly clad in their scarlet tunics, the military ceremonial dress, the Guards of Honor are placed in a specific formation.
So when you look on the parade, what you will find is the right off with the Guard Commander stand to the front. Then in the center, you'll have the color party. Then to the left, you have the left off with the subaltern to the guard.
The color party includes the color ensigns and the escorts.
These are two officers who will be honored to carry the colors of the unit.
The color ensigns salute the Governor-General with what appears to be flags, but in fact, they are called colors. The color that resembles the Jamaican flag is known as the Queen's color, symbolizing the monarch as Jamaica's head of state. The other color represents the regiment or unit of the JDF that forms the Guard of Honor. In this case, since the regimental color is maroon, it symbolizes that the 2nd Battalion Jamaica Regiment comprises the Guard of Honor.
The streetliners march into position first, then the Guard of Honor march into position. Then we await the arrivals.
The Commissioner of Police usually arrives first and awaits the wife of the Governor-General. His arrival is followed by that of the Chief of Defense Staff.
He will come and go onto the saluting dais, and he will receive a sword salute, in which he glances over and have a quick look at his troops to ensure everything is intact and everything is okay to receive His Excellency. Then he'll go and await the arrival of His Excellency.
When the wife of His Excellency arrives, she's escorted in chamber. Then, the main event. Mounted escorts accompany the Governor-General. He walks onto the red carpet.
Well, the red carpet, traditionally, from way, way back, is the form of showing people courtesy if they are VIPs.
Steps onto the saluting dais so that he can be seen by all, and later,
he will receive a royal salute.
Royal salute!
Although the flag code for the national flag says that it must never touch the ground, the Queen's colour, which is in many respects in the design format of the national flag, does properly touch the ground as a sort of, if you like, supreme compliment to the head of state, or in this case, the standing representative of the head of state.
in essence, the colours touching the ground is not a form of disrespect. It's the highest compliment being paid to the Governor-General. He then proceeds to inspect the guard, and after the second royal salute, His Excellency is escorted into the chamber. A flourish of trumpets signals his arrival in Gordon House.
That is something that can be used to herald somebody important entering a room or a building.
In addition to the usual pomp and pageantry, the ceremonial opening of Parliament brings together members of the House of Representatives and the Senate, the judiciary, a forest of high-ranking officials and members of the public. Members of Parliament aligned to the People's National Party enter Parliament by walking from the southern end of Duke Street, while those aligned to the Jamaica Labour Party walk from the northern end.
It started, as far as I recall, with the JLP walking down Duke Street, because they used to assemble in the BIT headquarters a little further up the road. So the PNP, whether they'd been walking from somewhere before or just came in individually, I honestly don't recall. So they said, well, you know, we'll have to come from the opposite direction. So they go up and the JLP come down.
All then gather together inside Gordon House to listen to the throne speech being presented by His Excellency the Governor-General.
I'm pleased to present to you the throne speech.
It is the speech on behalf of the government saying what its parliamentary policies and its intentions, executive intentions, are for the coming parliamentary term.
The conclusion of the throne speech marks the end of the ceremonial opening of Parliament.
It makes more fun, and you know, people can be more interested in their parliament if there's a little ceremony at the beginning. You get hundreds of people, you know, coming to watch the event because they enjoy it. They enjoy seeing the guard, and they enjoy seeing the mounted troop, the horsemen coming down the road, and the important people, and the Governor-General in his you know, lounge suit, business suit with all his orders and decorations, and other people all dressed up wearing decorations where applicable and so on.
So now that you understand the intricacies surrounding the ceremonial opening of Parliament, no doubt you'll have a greater appreciation for the event and the many splendid traditions. The 2014-2015 fiscal year is almost here. Catch the ceremonial opening of Parliament on April 3 as Governor-General Sir Patrick Allen outlines government's plans for the new legislative year. The estimates of expenditure will also be tabled on April 3. Come April 8 to 10, the Standing Finance Committee of Parliament will consider the estimates. Tune in as the Finance Minister opens the budget debate on April 17. Dr. Peter Phillips will be followed by the Opposition Spokesman on Finance on April 22 and Government and Opposition members on April 23. The Opposition Leader will make his contribution on April 24 and the Prime Minister makes her presentation on April 29. The budget debate will close on April 30 with the Finance Minister. It's the 2014-2015 budget debate. Stay informed and keep watching Jamaica Magazine.
When a new financial year begins, policymakers generally communicate plans to improve the country's performance in different sectors. And this year, government definitely intends to continue its economic reform program. We've been zeroing in on the different aspects of that program since last week. Today, we continue the series looking at restructuring the business environment.
Making it easier for anyone to do business in Jamaica and ensuring that micro, small and medium-sized enterprises can prosper are central elements of government's economic reform program. The rationale: economic growth can only be achieved and sustained if it's driven by the private sector.
The second main objective of the program is to achieve growth, to raise the real level of growth of the gross domestic product, so that over time we can answer and meet the legitimate expectations of the Jamaican people for jobs, for an improved quality of life, which has eluded us for many decades.
From a government perspective, some big investments need to come on stream to make that happen. But
we are very clear as an administration that unless the MSME sector is made to come alive and to play its role, the impact of this of these larger initiatives will not yield the benefit that it needs to, nor have the transformational effects.
So as a first step, Government has set out to produce a micro, small and medium-sized enterprise, MSME and entrepreneurship policy.
Some of the big initiatives relating to the growth agenda of the government of Jamaica is directly linked to this policy.
The MSME and entrepreneurship policy was completed and launched in 2013. Major highlights of the policy are increasing finance to the sector and enhancing business development support. It also aims to foster a culture of entrepreneurship and innovation while tackling cross-cutting issues such as women and youth in business and persons with disabilities. At the same time, government is increasing access to financing for the MSME sector. The Development Bank of Jamaica alone has approved more than 7,400 loans for on-lending to MSMEs between April 2013 and February 2014. That amounts to over $2 billion that these businesses can use to create jobs and help grow the economy. The sector is in line to receive another $1.5 billion from the National Insurance Fund during the 2014-2015 fiscal year. For years, the government has been taking some deliberate actions to make Jamaica an attractive destination for businesses, both homegrown and imported. Significant advancements have been made under the Portia Simpson Miller administration. For example, since January 2014, all Jamaicans have been able to register their collateral, including non-traditional assets, with a security interest in personal property SIP registry.
Registry forms part of the secure transactions framework designed to modernize and improve commerce by expanding access to domestic credit, while at the same time minimizing the risks of loan default. This is yet another structural benchmark agreed by the government of Jamaica with the IMF.
It's being implemented through the Companies Office of Jamaica. So too is the introduction of the Super Form, a multi-purpose registration form that acts as a one-stop shop for businesses. It allows for the incorporation of a company or the registration of a business name with only one trip to the COJ, instead of having to visit multiple agencies to process a TRN, NIS, GCT, and NHT requirements, or to procure clearance letters. Both the Superform and SIP registry are designed to enhance the investment environment and ultimately spur entrepreneurship and economic growth. In February 2014, the Jamaica Competitiveness Enhancement Program received a $60 million loan from the Inter-American Development Bank to support these efforts. The money is to support Jamaica's macroeconomic sustainability, continue implementation of a national competitiveness framework, improve the private sector access to financial markets, and more. The Planning Institute of Jamaica is in charge of the program.
We have an enormous task on our hands to reduce the debt, secure economic growth, and protect the vulnerable. However, none of those three objectives can be attained unless those who carry the full weight of the adjustment burden have hope that actions are being taken in their interest.
The government of Jamaica, going for growth, staying the course, and transforming the economy.
You could potentially benefit from taking advantage of the initiatives you heard about in this episode of Jamaica Magazine or any other. To find out more, check us out on the web. Send us an email or a message on our Facebook or Twitter pages. And remember, this and other programs can be viewed on our YouTube channel. Other bits of critical information will come your way in a brand new edition of the magazine, same time tomorrow. I'm Carrie-Ann Smith. Until then, walk good.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.